Hello, Durbanites, and welcome back to the next edition of our Premier League, which is the review of last season. So, we're going to kick off this one by looking at European football. And what I can share with you is that the top seven sides in the Premier League are eligible to play in European competitions. The top four play in the Champions League. The number five and six play in the Europa League, and seventh place plays in the Europa Conference League. Now, games in the European competition don't count in Fantasy Premier League. So, why are we mentioning this? Well, teams in the Premier League play between 40 to 50 domestic games a season, depending on their cup runs. Teams in European competitions can play up to 65 games. This means midweek games, travels across the continent, and more games means more chances for injury. For the top teams, it means squad rotations, and that could see expensive players on the bench. Let's look at the eighth Premiership team in Europe, West Ham. They qualify for the Europa League courtesy of having won the Europa Conference League last season. They got into Europe by finishing seventh in 21-22, but last season, with European games, they dropped to 14th in one season. To wrap up, just a reminder that two teams with big squads, new managers, and no Europe are Tottenham Hotspur and Chelsea. Now let's look at the top performers from last season, starting with the goalkeepers. We'll look at the overall points and points per game to see how they stack up. So you will notice that you're spending between 4.5 to 5.5 million for a decent number one, and probably not paying too much for a sub because keepers generally stay fit. Ramsdale, Sarr, Leno, and the rest are great points accumulators over the season. Looking at top defenders, Newcastle's defenders dominated the points last season. Paired with the Arsenal select in a season where 3,000 points is targeted, to get 600 from your defenders is a huge boost. Both these teams are expected to have good European runs this season, so expect some impact here. Looking at the prices, spending between 5.5 to 6.5 million each on four defenders, with one 4.5 to 5 million backup seems to be the right fit. Looking at the top midfielders from last season, as you can see, you have to consider spending some serious money when you get to the central and attacking players. Unlike defenders and goalkeepers, midfielders only risk 1 point for not maintaining a clean sheet, so expect to pay more. Ideally, you want two big picks, two gambles, and one backup. Looking at the top forwards, people know a lot about forwards. They are the most publicized and generally score more fantasy points than any other player. Here you will notice, compared to other positions, just playing every week is not a good criteria. Points per game and points are strongly correlated. You don't have to spend a lot of money here, though. You may want to remember that a striker from Brentford scoring a hat trick against Luton gets more points than a Man City striker scoring a single goal against Arsenal. Here are some quick tips on squad selection. Don't sign benches. By choosing a lot of Premier League players, you may have to fill your team with players that don't play. Those zeros can be very expensive. Goalkeepers earn the most points from keeping clean sheets, but these are fragile and you can lose out from a 100-minute penalty. Goalkeepers earn 1 point for every three shots saved. Keepers from mid table teams can be cheaper and still earn a lot of points, like Raya, Leno, and Sarr. While your squad looks like a standard team with centre backs and fullbacks, my recommendation is to stack your defense with attacking wingbacks. They can easily slide into double figures with just one goal and a clean sheet, and a lot of them assist the strikers with their passings and cross. Looking at the midfielders, goal scoring midfielders score more points per goal than forwards and can provide valuable assists. Remember to look for penalty takers as a bonus. Looking at your forwards, goals, and more goals. That's really what you're looking for. You're looking for forwards that will always have a lot of shots on goal, um, those that take penalties, and those that actually have a lot of shots generally pick up a lot of goals. You can see there's a very strong correlation between the goals scored as well as the rankings and points that they get. You really have to be very careful on that. However, I would advise going against one big striker, maybe look at spreading it across strikers and those that have favorable games going forward. So that's all for this video. I hope you're still enjoying these. Don't forget to scan this QR code to join our league. Big shout out already to Ami, to Fatality Team, and to Squish for joining the league already. Waiting for the rest of you to join until the next episode, where we'll look at some transfer news as well as some possibly good picks for the season ahead.